Good evening, viewers. Welcome to another episode of the Speaker's Gallery. Our guest today is Dr. Abdiwahab Sheikh Abdi. Dr. Abdiwahab is a director and a senior researcher at Southlink Consultants. Dr. Abdiwahab taught at Kenyatta University and also at the University of Nairobi. He has a very interesting and a checkered career. He went to school, started school in Wajir Primary School, which was at the time the only primary school in Wajir town. When he completed his primary school, he could not afford the fees that was going to be charged at Wajir High School. He opted to go to Somalia and ended up in Mogadishu, where there was a distant uncle. He enrolled in 15th May Secondary School in Mogadishu. When he completed his secondary education, he enrolled at the University of Lafole to study a bachelor's degree in education. When he completed his bachelor's degree in education, he came back to Kenya. In Kenya, he was recruited initially by the Teacher Service Commission to teach at Wajir High School, but opted to work with UNICEF, United Nations Children's Fund. He worked for UNICEF and thereafter worked for Islamic Relief and finally ended up at UNDP, United Nations Development Program. He then decided to go back again to academia and went to Israel, where he got a scholarship to the Hebrew University at the prestigious institute, which is called Weizmann Institute of Development Studies. He completed his MA in Development Studies, then came back to Kenya. Then again enrolled at the University of Nairobi for an MA degree in armed conflicts, in armed conflicts and peace studies. Dr. Abdiwahab then proceeded to University of South Africa to do his PhD. He did his PhD in political science at the University of South Africa, but while attending the University of South Africa, also worked for a very old institution, which is one of its own kind in the whole of the continent, which is called Africa Institute of South Africa. It's been there during the apartheid time and still there today. Dr. Abdiwahab then came back to Kenya and taught at a number of institutions, and at the same time ran his own, or rather the Southlink Institute, which basically is there to study conflicts, development studies, and other things in the Horn of Africa. Welcome, Dr. Abdiwahab, to the Speaker's Gallery.
Many thanks, Honorable Farah, for having me.
Dr. Abdiwahab, you are an authority on armed conflicts and peace in the region, in the Greater Horn of Africa. You're an analyst, you're a commentator, you teach at a number of institutions. The latest problem we have in the region is the maritime dispute between Kenya and Somalia. You've had on many occasions to give your opinion on that. But tell us, what exactly are the issues at hand and how is it shaping up?
Thank you so much, Farah, again. You know, I have been following the dispute, maritime dispute between Kenya and Somalia since 2009, when things became a public domain. In fact, they signed memorandum of understanding between the two nations. The maritime dispute is not, something new in Africa, even in the world. 512 maritime disputes around the world, around the globe. Only half of them have been agreed.
Resolved.
The rest of them is still.
Almost 300 of them are still.
It's still, they are
disputes.
Yeah, they're in dispute. For instance, some of them, they involve a lot of countries. Let me give a good example in South China Sea, whereby they involve China, Vietnam, Malaysia, in addition to Philippines. Yes. It's a very complicated issue. And for instance, in Eastern Mediterranean, there is also Israel and Lebanon on one side, Greek, Turkey, and Cyprus on the other side. In Africa, for example, there is a dispute between, DRC and Angola. And also there is a dispute between Nigeria and Cameroon. There is a dispute between Ghana and Cote d'Ivoire. So it's not something new. In Africa, for example, the dispute between DRC and Angola. DRC, in fact, they are behaving the way Kenya is behaving. Pulling tactics.
Bully tactics.
Bully tactics, yes. But the court ruled in favor of Angola. Similarly, Nigeria also, they are behaving the way Kenya is behaving. And
very loud.
Very loud. So it's not something big.
And it was ruled in favor of Cameroon.
Cameroon, yes. For example, the maritime dispute between Ghana and Cote d'Ivoire. Surprisingly, the largest ethnic, group in both countries are the same ethnic group, which constitute 41% of total population, both Ghana and Cote d'Ivoire. So it's not something you can exaggerate. It's not something big. Farah,
you have the same communities that cut across the borders.
The same. Just like Somalis in Kenya and Somalis in Somalia. Farah, the issue is, it's not issue of it's a dispute. The issue is how they resolve. Both and Kenya and Somalia. So in fact, it's before 2007. Let me go back history again. Before 2007, there is no maritime dispute with Kenya and Somalia until Somalia went to International Court of Justice in 2014 and filed a case against Kenya. The area in dispute, Farah, is almost 62 miles square, 100 kilometers square. Somalia, as you are aware,
100,000 square kilometers.
100,000 kilometers squares. It's a small triangle. Somalia started auctioning 202 blocks in London Conference just at the beginning of this year. From Hobyo to Kismayo is almost 56 blocks. Out of the 56 blocks, only 4 are in dispute with Kenya. And each block can generate inside Somalia 1 million barrels per day. So the issue for us is
1 million barrels per day.
Per day, yes, 1 million barrels per day.
But they did not auction. Did they auction, or they were
but
just?
It's kind of assessment and data sharing.
They were sharing the data.
Yeah.
So they have not done the auction yet.
Yes. Point of
so why then did we say in Kenya that these people have auctioned the blocks when indeed they did not auction the blocks?
In fact, they didn't auction it. As far as I know, it was data sharing and data assessment.
Yeah.
Come back the issue of the. Since the things became public domain, I was just following the dispute very closely, and I advised both nations, both Kenya and Somalia, to resolve this problem amicably. They cannot afford a dispute between Kenya and Somalia. The level of integration between the Somalia and Kenya
is too high.
You cannot imagine. What have been worked for us in 19th century cannot work for us 20th century. A person living in Nairobi, in Mogadishu today, he has a relative in Nairobi. An individual living in Hargeisa, he has a relative in Mombasa. The person living in Kismayo has a relative in Kakamega. So the level of integration between two nations, two countries, you cannot imagine. It's beyond imagination.
About 70,000 Kenyans working in Somalia.
Yes. In addition to that, there's a number of expertise, Kenyan expertise, are inside Somalia as we speak right now. They export skilled manpower to Somalia, to Somali countries.
We export skilled.
We export already. The question is
skilled and semi-skilled, because I've seen even waiters and chefs.
Yeah, that's very true. So there's also the Somali business people. They engage business in Kenya. They invest a lot in Kenya. And they have so many, there are so many business inside Somalia, inside Kenya. For instance, in real estate, in what you call the petroleum sector. You mentioned
energy.
It. You mentioned it. As we speak right now, there is a Kenya Defense Force inside Somalia. They deployed on the safest sector in Amison peacekeeping forces, which is Kismayo City. As you are aware, Farah, apart from allegation of the charcoal and illegal trade and sugar and so on and so forth, the performance of the Kenya Reverse Force inside Somalia are very impressive, very good. So, if the dispute continue or escalate, people are asking for what will be the future of the Amison peacekeeping force, KDF inside Somalia. Somalis, are they see it as occupying forces or protection forces? Time will tell. Apart from that, Kenya is being engaged with Somalia, is state building and state formation process in Somalia, right from the beginning of the peace process. In fact, Kenya, they help Somalia a lot in terms of what they call, building institutions, in terms of peace building, in terms of state formations, and so on and so on. Kenya is hosting one of the largest refugee population in Africa, which many of them are Somali origin.
Most of them.
Somali origin. Kenya invested a lot in Somalia. So the question is, are we going to abandon all these issues and engage what they call,
belligerent.
Yeah, that's the question people are asking for. In addition to that, Farah, if you look at the attitude of our foreign policy towards Somalia, it's not healthy. I think we have to restructure our foreign policy towards Horn of Africa, towards the region. There is a shifting, foreign policy which is going on in Horn of Africa since the, Ethiopian Prime Minister Abiy Ahmed came to power. There is a, economic integration is going on between Somalia, Ethiopia, Eritrea, to some extent Djibouti, which, in fact, that itself, the region which is known as a hostile region become what they call, the region now is somehow integrating each other. So we have to look into all those issues before Kenya take any step. In addition to that, the issue of the resources. There's 3 countries in Africa never expect any stability because the resource became scarce. That's the DRC, Somalia, and the Sudan. There is a lot of stakeholders in Somali conflict for the last 10 years. The Gulf crisis split over into Somalia today as we speak. Turkey, Qatar on one side, Emirates, Saudis, and Egypt on one side. Somalia became a scramble now. Scramble
for Somalia.
For Somalia. So we have to understand all those issues.
Dynamics, yes.
In addition, in other words,
and maybe get some African solution to it, where
what we are lacking is African solution for African problems. Amison, in fact, they have been in Somalia for the last 10 years. I consider myself as a failed project. Failed project, because 10 years down the line, it's a lot. 10 years is a lot.
And they have not achieved
much. You cannot
compare.
Compare Amison to ECOWAS in West Africa.
ECOWAS stabilized the country.
ECOWAS, they have gone to both Sierra Leone and Liberia.
Yes,
in a span of 3 years, they fixed the nation's problems. 3 years. What about our brothers and sisters in Horn of Africa? They have been there for 10 years and nothing has been moved.
Nothing to show off.
Nothing has been moved.
Al-Shabaab is still blowing up people in Mogadishu and everywhere.
Look, Farah. 22,000 Amison peacekeeping force. Plus
10,000
American proxy forces.
Yes.
Let's say Alpha Group, let's say Danab, you say Gashan, you mentioned them.
Yes.
Regional member states also, they have a significant number of the
Ethiopians have also some outside the Amison contingent.
Ethiopian also, they're involved in Somalia fully.
Yes.
Put together, almost 300,000 soldiers on the ground. They failed to defeat a village boys between 5,000 to 7,000. Will you buy that issue? No. You can't buy. You can't even swallow it. The question is, what basically I want to say here, we must come back our senses. Negative engagement will not help situation at all. What we want is a constructive engagement with Somalia. Let us the two countries come together, talk to each other, resolve the issue once and for all. The regional stability and peace is more important than, oil and gas. If the oil and gas can cause, a problem between two countries, then forget it. Let me emphasize this point. The regional peace and stability is more important than oil and gas. So come back to your senses. What Kenya want is what they call a parallel to the latitude. It's almost 45 degrees. While Somalis, they're saying 90 degrees.
Equidistant.
Yeah, equidistance from the.
Equidistant,
yeah.
Yes.
So
from where they enter the.
All in all, if you remember, South China Sea, both the China and the Philippines went to court.
The Philippines won the case.
Philippines won the case. But what happened after that?
The Philippines again invited the Chinese and told them, let's
come together and share the resources. And now the Chinese, investors are investing and injecting the economy of Philippines as we speak right now. Today, the current head of Philippine head of state, in fact, is now going to China and asking the Chinese business people to come and invest in the country. So this is small resource, to be honest with you. I don't see any exaggeration for that. So let's come back. Let's come back our emphasis. Let's talk together in friendly manner. This country cannot afford, what they call, they have to be a friendly, not for.
Yes, it's maybe 300,000 is a little bit of an exaggeration in terms of the forces there. But I think it's about 35,000, when you say 22,000 Amison, and maybe 10,000 Somalis, the National Army, and the Ethiopians and occasionally, and the Kenyans who also
whatever the figure,
yes,
they are much more than.
And by the way, very. Some people put the figure of Al-Shabaab being not more than 4,000.
Yeah.
And so
most likely,
even if it's only 35,000, and they are able to eliminate the threat posed by 4,000 ill-equipped, ragtag forces who do not have any bases that basically they can hold, who are just moving from place to place. I mean, the government should be, the combined forces should be able to eliminate that threat in the shortest possible time. I
will advise both international community and African Union to empower the Somali army forces.
Yes.
For a number of reasons.
Because they're still under sanctions.
Yes. For a number of reasons.
Yes.
Reason number one, the Somali army forces know the geography of the Somalia. They know the families involved Al-Shabaab. They know where are they, and they have what they call, they know the language, the local language. So if the Somali army force
can get the intel information,
getting only 20% what Amison are getting, I can tell you for free. Al-Shabaab
will be destroyed completely.
They can easily eliminate within a year.
Yeah, completely. Maybe much less than a year. Yes, you understand, because I'm told the Somali soldiers earn $200 maximum, between $100 and $200.
Sometimes they're getting $100, $150, but even they're not getting for months.
For months they don't get it.
Yeah.
But the Amison forces are given
1,100 per month. In addition to the insurance card and the other benefits.
Comes to about $2,000.
Almost, yes, almost 2,000. Yes. Yeah.
Don't you see this now as I mean, we're diverting a little bit from the maritime issue, but don't you see this as the thing that literally makes sure that these people do not resolve the problem so that they can stay the longest possible there and make the money?
Farah, I wrote an article on Star newspaper.
Yes.
2014.
Yes.
I have been in Burundi.
Yes.
I met one of the African peacekeeping forces there.
Yes, yes.
In fact, it's written. It's a long article.
Yes.
I asked him how long have you been in Somalia. He told me almost a year. He was building a nice house in Bujumbura, south of Bujumbura, the capital city of Burundi. So he told me, I pray God until I finish my house.
Yes, the problem exists.
The problem exists. It's very amazing. I told him, okay, fine. You are there for the, you know, he told me, you know, if today, if I can defeat, you know, if I defeat Al-Shabaab, in a span of 3 months, what will be my future? I will not even complete this house.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that's the mentality of African, African peacekeeping force inside Somalia.
Tell me, let's assume for argument's sake that this matter continues to the court. I'm talking about the maritime dispute between Kenya and Somalia, and the acrimony between the two countries gets fully blown.
God forbid.
What would be the in your opinion, what do we expect under such circumstances?
Both.
Do we expect our contingent to come out of Somalia? Do we expect the local warlords and us getting closer, and the local warlords beginning to defy Mogadishu, and basically we now begin getting involved in the state disintegration in Somalia and become active players in that? What do you think would be the situation in your opinion?
Farah, let me tell you one thing. Both Somalia and Kenya must look beyond ICJ, beyond International Court of Justice. You know, it can rule in favor of Somalia, it can rule in favor of Kenya. But the two nations, they will be a neighbor forever. They will be a neighbor forever. The question is, are they Somalis willing to continue a dispute with Kenya? Somalia is a collapsed state. It's a complete collapsed state. They have nothing to lose. Already they collapsed. But we lose everything. We lose everything. If you go today to Somalia, Somalia is a fragmented state, as a way that.
Yes, fragmented.
Fragmented state.
Yes.
So which one are you going to fight with? Jubaland, Somaliland, Puntland, Galmudug? Which one? Tell me.
Mogadishu?
I don't know.
I guess.
In fact, I don't know. In fact, I don't know. So basically, we have to look beyond ICJ. This issue of maritime dispute is not new in Africa. Africa is almost this. It exists. So the best way is let the political elite, both Somali community and Kenyan community, come together, discuss the issue, harmonize the views, seek a lasting solution. Yes, lasting solution to this problem. You know, the President Farmajo, he's not ready to talk about this issue right now until the court decided. For instance, it's between hard place and rock. I can tell you. If he's seen to be weak, he cannot come back. Yes. I can tell you one thing for free. If President Farmajo sign a memorandum of understanding, between the two countries,
to withdraw the matter,
to withdraw the matter, even from the court, the following morning they will remove him from the State House.
They'll remove him.
Take it from me. They will remove from the State House.
Yes.
So if the guy is between hard place and rock.
Yes.
Unless the court decided, he can't do anything.
Yes.
For him, it's a political tool. For him, it's a political campaign. For him, he's going to gain the hearts and the minds of the Somali community.
If he stands firm.
Yes.
And if he
became a popular.
If he weakens up, he will not last another day.
It will never last 24 hours.
Yes.
They will remove from the State House.
Immediately.
Yeah.
And
Kenya must understand that.
Yes.
They have to understand that.
Yes. So when you tell them, when they try to push Farmajo to withdraw the matter from court, essentially you're trying to tell somebody to go and sign his own political obituary.
That's how things are. Basically how things are. It's going to, let's say you're saying resign. Just resign. And whatever resign. The issue is, even after the court, there's a room for dialogue.
Yes.
They can even sit together and discuss the issue.
Why are we so, I can understand why the Chinese did not go to court, to the ICJ, because the Chinese knew that they had no case. But basically wanted to begin as hard as possible to see what they can get out of that. And eventually, of course, the matter was ruled in favor of Philippines. But because China is very strong, it's a superpower, it could flex its own muscle and other things. Why are we so afraid of this matter getting concluded in court? Why is Kenya afraid of the court? Is it because we don't have a case? We're going to lose the case?
I have no idea for that.
Yes.
But you can ask the Attorney General. He will explain more. But basically what I'm saying is, China is one of the second largest economy in the world.
Yeah.
Third largest military in the world.
Yeah.
After USA and Russia.
Yeah. No, militarily they have overtaken Russia now. They are number 2.
Most likely,
Yes,
maybe
yes. Except
in the recent years.
Except what you call the warheads, the nuclear warheads, where Russia is ahead of everybody. But in the rest,
it's a debatable issue. By the way, it's a debatable issue.
I know.
So whatever it is, they never behave like a bullying the neighbors. They don't do that.
They don't bully anybody.
They don't bully anybody. Despite they have
throw their muscle around.
They have the power.
Yes.
So the issue is the issue of bullying is not an issue.
Yeah.
The best option is soft diplomacy.
Yeah.
Talk to Somali's elite. Even after the court. I think the best option, the best rebellion will start after the court. Let them come together, harmonize the views, talk to each other, then engage Somali fully. I think that's the best way forward. Yeah.
Hold on to your thoughts, Dr. Abdiwahab Sheikh Abdi. Viewers, we will go for a short commercial break and we'll be right back. Welcome back. For those who are joining us now, our guest today is Dr. Abdiwahab Sheikh Abdi. Dr. Abdiwahab Sheikh Abdi is a commentator, he's an analyst, he's an intellectual, he's somebody who wears so many hats, and we are dissecting the issues of the maritime dispute between Kenya and Somalia today on this show. Welcome. I just stopped you when you were saying that China has the powers to bully the other countries which are in the region there in that dispute, but they chose not to do that.
Yes.
They chose to talk and negotiate and do a lot of shuttle diplomacy behind the scenes.
Yes.
In Kenya, we are trying to bully the Somalis. We are trying to push the Somalis into withdrawing the matter from court. But you just said, Farmajo cannot afford to withdraw that matter from court. The day he withdraws that matter from court, he will not last 24 hours in office.
That's right.
What do we do? Who can talk? Why is Kenya not able to appreciate those dynamics? Why are we basically trying to ask the impossible, and at the same time trying to literally act in a manner that everybody else is going to sympathize with Somalia?
Surprisingly,
yes,
apart from the regional dynamics,
yes,
apart from what they call the dispute between Somalia and Kenya,
yes,
as we speak right now, Honorable Farah, United States, United Kingdom, Norway, which associate AU member, together with China, are siding with Somalia.
yes.
Only France are siding with Kenya.
Yes. Why the French? Because it's a French company.
And also, Russia, they are center of the issue. They are center of the issue, the Russia. Yes. They just they're studying what they call the matter.
Yes.
Forget about what they call the regional dynamics. Forget about the regional sympathy. Even international community.
The international opinion is with Somalis.
With Somalia, as we speak right now.
So we are isolating ourselves even globally.
That's a self-isolation and what they call self-isolation.
Yes.
That's what I'm saying. We have to restructure the Kenyan foreign policy towards Somalia and to the region. There is a lot of dynamics going on in the region. Look, when Abiy Ahmed came to power.
Abiy
Ahmed, yes. When he came to power, the current Ethiopian Prime Minister.
Everything changed.
Completely. He made a peace with Eritrea about the bottom issue.
He changed his policy towards Somalia.
He changed policy towards Somalia. Well, I'm coming for it.
Yes.
Also, there is what they call, they are negotiating with Egypt over the Nile.
Yes.
As we speak right now, is mediating between the civilians and military junta.
In Sudan?
In Sudan.
Yes.
He is now convincing, it's now talking to, Ismail Omar Guelleh of Djibouti to join what they call the regional integration, economic integration between Ethiopia, Somalia, Eritrea, and Djibouti. Look how things are going.
And winning the Djibouti hearts slowly.
Yes. Surprisingly, if you go back to history again, Kenya, in fact, they are the one who started the state building and state formation process in Somalia. They invest a lot. Look, also they initiated what they call, South Sudan peace accord.
We did everything. The CPA, comprehensive peace accord, was done in Kenya, in Machakos, in Naivasha.
Peace accord in Naivasha.
Yes.
Where are we now?
We have lost.
Where are we now?
It's been taken from us.
In South Sudan,
Yes.
it's been taken by the Museveni himself.
Yes.
Salva Kiir,
Yes.
he cannot take any action until you consult what they call the Museveni.
Yes.
Abiy Ahmed, he says I'm a regional power,
Yes.
regional hegemony.
Yes.
He's everywhere.
Yes.
In Djibouti, in
Yes.
Eritrea,
And
in
has
South
his forces
Sudan.
also in South
Everything.
Sudan. Yes.
Even he brought what they call, a Farmajo from Addis Ababa to Nairobi. Look at this guy.
Summoned him to come to Addis Ababa and brought him to come and meet with.
Yes.
Yes.
In Kenya, it's an economic, powerhouse
In the region. But we're losing that.
Where are we now? Where are we now?
Yes.
Where are we?
Yes.
We have to ask ourselves, where are we right now?
Yes.
What went wrong? The problem is the Kenyan foreign policy towards the region. It's completely, we have to review the entire file of the region. And the sooner we do, the better. The sooner we do.
We're losing big time.
I'm telling you, the sooner we do, the better. Yeah.
The other thing is that we were used to the Mele Zenawi, Haile Selassie, Mengistu, which basically was Amhara, Tigray kind of an axis those days. And the relationship with Kenya, because then there was the Amhara, Tigray leadership, which more or less felt like they were the chosen people to rule over Ethiopia for eternity. And then, of course, Haile Selassie and Kenyatta had that mutual defense pact, which targeted at Somalis more than anybody else, but which also subliminally had the issue of the Oromos, which is the majority in Ethiopia, but also have part of our region, the Isiolo, Marsabit, Moyale, is essentially Oromo counties or districts in those days. Now that Abiy Ahmed has come to power, the first time that his people have any form of reins of the government for over 700 years, and he has changed the dynamics. He has changed the whole structure of the manner in which the two states related to one another in subsequent to the pact between Kenyatta and Haile Selassie. Why is Kenya not able to understand that and see the reality and begin living with the reality and seizing the opportunity to pick up the ball and run with it, instead of trying to leave the past? In any case, that past was also more or less crafted as Kenyatta, Mount Kenya pact with the Amhara, as Professor Kagwanja put it, the Bantu Amhara Alliance,
yes.
which essentially is coming out now. Why is our system here now not very keen on those dynamics, those changes, and hoping that there is a reversal of the gains in Ethiopia so that they can have the old ways, which is no longer tenable because of the sheer numbers?
If you look at Ethiopia today, Oromo is the largest ethnic group.
In the whole continent.
In the Horn of Africa.
Yes.
In
the whole of Africa.
In Eastern
Actually,
Africa.
more than even the Hausas, I think, yes.
It's a debatable issue. But anyway, it's Horn of Africa. They are largest ethnic group as we speak right now, followed by the Amhara, which is 17% total population of Ethiopia.
Followed by Somalis.
Yes, Somalis are third, 10% of the population. Then followed by the Tigray, which is almost 6% of the population.
Yes, yes.
For the last 500 years or so, Ethiopia ruling class was Amhara and Tigray. Now, after 500 years down the line, the first, Oromo Prime Minister came to power.
The first Oromo leader of Ethiopia?
Ethiopia came to power.
Oh, Abyssinia?
Yes.
Yes.
It will remind me, Honorable Farah, what happened in Sri Lanka some time back. Sri Lanka, there is a Sinhalese, which is also 80% of the population.
Majority.
Yes. Followed by the Tamils, which was 20%. During the British time, Tamils they were ruling class.
They were empowered.
Yeah, folks. Normally, as usual, the British they also empower the minorities.
Yes, yes.
Then, early 1960s, there's a social revolution took place in Sri Lanka, whereby the Sinhalese they take over the entire nation. All of a sudden, they changed the language, what they call the Tamil and English language into Sinhalese language. Similar case is going on inside Ethiopia as we speak right now, because Oromo is, it's almost 40% of the population, plus million people. Not only in Ethiopia.
Yeah, probably more than him, closer to 50, I think.
Not only in Ethiopia, even there's Oroma in northern part of Kenya. There's the Marsabit areas, Siolo, Moyale, up to Tana River.
Yes.
They are there. So, and there is what they call an alliance somehow between we call a Cushitic alliance. Because the Cushitic societies, they were under subjugation
for a very long time.
For a long time. Then Kenyans must understand that things are changing drastically. There is a change drastically.
And begin living with it because
yes.
our Bantus, our Nilots are neither Cushites nor Semites. They can live with it. Yes.
The issue of Amhara and the Bantu alliance is over.
It's dead.
It's
like
dead. Completely is dead.
Gone into history.
Yes. There is 160 million people in Ethiopia, and we have 40 million here in Kenya. So our foreign ministry, they have to think about these issues. How can we send the skilled manpower to Ethiopia? How can we invest in Ethiopia? How can, be part trade of the integration?
Yes. Yes.
Because the train has in fact, we are moving, we are going somewhere. So now, unfortunately, still our elite, in the Kenyan elite, they have a mentality of what they call Bantu Amhara alliance, which is dead completely. I don't know how they're going to revive. But unfortunately, 3 years, 4 years down the line, we'll see another Horn of Africa.
It's already there. It's already shaped up.
We see another Horn of Africa.
And the earlier we begin to live with it, the better.
I saw day before yesterday, some social media, Ismail Bergele is joining what they call the league, the colleague.
Oh yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
He has no option because the issue between Eritrea and Ethiopia has been resolved.
Yes.
Prisoners have been released.
Yes.
So he has nothing now to lose. He's just now joining the new group. The other issue which I like to consider is how the other Gulf states, impacting the lives of Horn of Africa also. They became a destabilizing factor.
Destabilizing factor.
Yes.
Because of the oil and gas.
Because of the guys.
And the strategic location of the Somali eastern coast.
If you look Somalia today, as I told you earlier, 202 blocks of oil and gas.
Only between Jubaland and Hobyo. So you still have another potential of a similar number of blocks.
In the Red Sea.
In the Red Sea and also in Puntland, what's called Puntland now. Yes.
So the Gulf states, they have to make sure they don't want to see the Somali oil and gas until 2090.
When, of course, gas will and oil probably, well, I don't know about gas, but oil will have a substitute.
Yes.
People will never need oil anymore.
If today, the oil companies succeed, the Somali oil and gas.
In drilling for that oil and
automatically, Somalia became an OPEC member. They regulate the world oil price. The shift now is moving from the Gulf to Somalia.
They control that. East Africa, let's say, it's moving to the Horn.
Yeah. So my fellow Kenyans, they have to think that. They have to think that. The future in Somalia today, Somalia has a lot of minerals. They have a lot of gas and oil. So the way we deal, it will impact the
relationship between the two countries in the future, and the two peoples.
Yes.
And we are not seizing that opportunity.
We are not. In fact, we are not even see it. To be honest with you,
Abiy has seized it very well.
Already, yeah, he has seen the potential of Somalia.
He has allowed. Actually, the Somali region in Ethiopia has got trillions and trillions worth of gas in there, and right now they have accepted to share that on 50-50.
Let me enlighten one thing here.
Yes.
During the Tigray, regime, the military junta of Tigray. I don't say it's not a democratic. It's a military junta.
Yes.
Surprisingly, 21 blocks of eastern Ethiopia, the Somali populated area of the oil and gas.
Yes.
Each block was written the name of general.
Was registered in the name of a Tigrayan general.
Yes.
I heard that.
Are we together?
Yes. There was nothing coming to Ethiopia.
Until the Abiy Ahmed came to power.
Yes.
And in fact,
cancelled all that.
Cancelled all of them.
Yes.
Now, 50% of the
revenue
of the oil and gas.
After the production cost has been
Everything is.
Yes.
It will go to Somali population area.
To the Somali region.
Eastern Ethiopia.
Yes, yes. And the other 50%.
25% will go to central government.
Yes.
Another 25 will go to other states.
The other 8 states.
Other 8 states.
Yes.
So
actually 9 states, because even the Somalis will get their share of the 25%.
Yeah, most likely.
So they probably get about 2.5%.
50 something plus, maybe 57 to 56, something like that.
Yes.
Anyway, what I'm trying to say here is, if the region is changing, if the integration takes place, if the Horn of Africa became now a stable state, what will be the future relationship between Kenya and those countries? We have to come back our senses. We have to come back our drawing board. We have to re-engage the region.
You're crying for your country, Kenya.
Let us have what they call a think tank, researchers who really research this issue, constructively. Are we together? We cannot afford to be left behind.
Our hearts and minds are bleeding for our country, Kenya.
Of course, why
we
not?
love our country.
Why not?
Although we ethnic Somalis, we would want
we are more patriotic
the prophets to come here.
We are more patriotic.
And our government is just not playing that ball.
Any other Kenyans, to be honest with you.
I know that.
We
Yes.
are more patriotic than any other Kenyans. The question I already ask myself.
Yes.
It is lack of patriotism. It's lack of patriotism in Kenyan Somalis, or other Kenyans are not understanding, or are not trusting us. Yeah.
Look, there are 18 million foreign workers in the Gulf states now. 18 million. You can rest assured if the Somali oil comes out, in that region, the Somali state of Ethiopia, Republic of Somalia, Djibouti, and all that, including there will be a need for at least between 15 and again 20 million foreign workers there. That is the nature of business. It's not going to be unique to them all. Right. Once that oil, because the oil that will be coming out is massive compared to what the Gulf states have in the gas.
More than that.
Being the neighbors of Somalia, we stood to gain more than anybody else. We were the ones who should have picked up that ball and ran with it and supported the Somalis in realizing their dream, and then we become part of that dream.
Are they
part of the dream?
Our political elite, are they realizing that?
No,
because you're part of it yourself.
You're also
the political class.
I don't think so. And not only that, the deposits, the oil deposits in the Somali region of Kenya is also there. It's massive, for your information.
It is. It is
massive.
It is.
And this was now going to be an opportunity in which we can have that bilateral relationship that puts us into, instead of, we have the Gulf there states, we could have our own states here, which brings Kenya, Somalia, Ethiopia, Eritrea, and Djibouti together as one unit.
Yes,
and we have a common defense, what you call arrangements. We have a common foreign policy arrangement on certain things. We have a common economy.
That's exactly what I'm looking for. That's what I'm advocating for.
Why is Uhuru not able to understand that?
I don't know.
Kibaki understood a lot.
I think the Kibaki was the best.
Kibaki would have
was the
taken
best.
advantage
Yeah, was
of
the
that
best.
fully. Yeah.
Farah, from Hobyo to Kismayo again, it's a 550 trillion of gas and oil, which is almost 200 kilometers inside the ocean.
More than 200 kilometers inside the ocean.
Inside the ocean.
Yes. Offshore.
And those areas are not under control of Al-Shabaab. What they also need is only legitimate government who can sign it.
Which they're going to do before the end of this
year. Of
course,
they will do that. They will do that.
And the rigs will come in
they will
plenty
do that.
numbers.
They will do that.
Yes.
So, the issue of gas and oil, if Kenyans are clever enough,
if we are clever enough, because we are Kenyans, me and you.
If we are clever enough,
yes,
we can even convince the Somalis, since they don't have a navy army,
for our navy to protect those,
them, so that they can pay what they call the expenses.
Absolutely,
yeah.
Absolutely.
From Hobyo, not forget about Kismayo. From Hobyo to Kismayo, our navy will get. Are we together? And Somali government must pay what they call the expenses.
Of course, we have an arrangement that essentially will be there for a long time to come.
What is what they call Pan-Africanism? Why can't we revive the Pan-Africanism? Why can't we cultivate the good neighborhood? Why can't we talk to hearts and minds of Somalis?
See
Why
the
can't we? Why can't? There's a lot of things we can do together.
I know what you mean.
But unfortunately,
I know what you mean.
our political elite, our Kenyan political elite, will not understand that.
So selfish.
Yes.
So hell bent on corruption
And in fact,
stealing from.
they even ready Somalis. You know, they don't have any problem with Kenyan armies. Kenyan armies are the most professional soldiers in Horn of Africa. Kenyan armies are most educated
There has been
soldiers.
because of what you have said is Menelik and Tewodros and Yohannes and those old rulers who mainly came from Amara region and came from Tigray. There has been that hatred between the Somalis and Ethiopians.
Yes, right.
For a very long time.
Because they're a minority.
For a very
That's how
long
we're going
time.
to survive.
Yes. For a very long time. For hundreds of years.
Yes.
And on occasions, of course, we had Somalis also who conquered the entire Abyssinia. Ahmed Grang,
Yes.
was a Somali imam. But you see, in less than 1 year, that acrimony has been solved. The Somalis right now don't see Ethiopians as enemies anymore because of the manner in which Abiy has handled the relationship
Carefully,
with Somalis
yes.
carefully and smartly.
That's,
Look at basically what he has done. There was talk that the gas from the Somali region would be taken through Eritrea.
yes.
Initially, there was that gas. And for sure, if that were to happen, let me just finish. If that were to happen, undoubtedly the Somalis would risen up again and you would have a liberation movement in there.
Yes, of course.
No
question about that.
And nobody was going to, basically exploit those resources because Haile Selassie could not exploit them because of the conflict. Mengistu could not exploit them because of the conflict. Meles could not exploit them because of the conflict. And nobody could defeat the other and defeat for good. This is always a seesaw. Today you're up, the other day. And Abiy decided, no, there should never be any conflict. There should be never losers and winners. Let's all be winners.
It's very true.
And he has decided to take this through Djibouti.
That's right.
And I'm told he's willing to take it through Somalia.
Even
all the way to
Hobyo,
Hobyo.
yes.
He's taking it through Berbera.
Yes.
Because the gas that will be pumped out of those wells is so massive. It goes into trillions of barrels. That trillions of cubic meters, by the way.
Yeah.
So far, what they found is 1.6 trillion.
I agree.
And there are probably another potential 10, 15, 20 more wells that will be found. So essentially, there will be no problem. Somalis see this is our land, yes, but we're gaining from it and we're part of that bigger picture. Why can't we have a similar relationship with Somalis so that we can have a way in which we can exploit all these resources on both sides of the border together?
Listen, Farah.
Yeah.
When the Somalia collapsed in 1991,
Yes.
large number of Somalis,
Yes.
they consider Kenya as a second home.
Yes.
Look, Moi was.
And we're destroying that goodwill every day.
That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. We're almost destroying it.
Yeah. Moi did things differently.
Moi was very good politician.
Moi was not part of that.
He was a neutral about
Amhara
these issues.
Bantu thing.
Yeah.
He changed it very fast.
Even the Somali issue was neutral.
Okay.
So what basically?
Amhara Mount Kenya, you should probably more or less say.
That mentality of Bantu Amhara alliance, I think is dead.
It's nonsense.
It's dead
it's
now.
Nonsense. I was surprised
What-
Kagwanja would put that in writing. We knew it was there, but we more or less wanted to translate it as Kenyatta Haile Selassie instead of putting a name of an ethnic community into it.
One thing I'm going to raise
Or
here.
maybe he should have said Amara Kikuyu if that's what he wanted to say. Oh, but Bantu.
I have a great respect for Sabita Kagwanja.
Yeah, he's
But
a good friend of mine too.
Yes, very good. He's a very good professor. But what I'm saying is, we have to change our mentality. We have to change our tactics. We have constructively engaged Somali issues. We have to see the bigger picture, the dynamics. We have to come back and recite the issue. Farah, when Thabo Mbeki became head of, seized the power after Mandela in 1994, after 1999, sorry, he empowered one of the biggest research institutes in Southern Hemisphere, which is South Africa.
Yeah. The Africa Institute of South Africa.
South Africa. What he did, whatever the country is facing for, in terms of economic crisis, in terms of security crisis, in terms of...
He allowed those intellectuals to
he
come up with position papers.
Yes, to research on.
To research on
and,
that
and advise the government accordingly.
Which we don't have ourselves.
Yeah. And this is proper, that's what we are lacking.
Dr. Abdiwahab, we are short on time, but I can assure you one thing. With Monica Juma as the Minister for Foreign Affairs in Kenya, who has impeccable credentials, academic credentials from top institutions in the world, but who also served as an ambassador under Meles Zenawi for many years, and ambassador in Ethiopia, who worked at the Institute of Security Studies in South Africa, who knows a lot about the security situation. Isn't it? We had hoped she will be able to see those changes, those massive, there are changes that you cannot control. You can't turn back the clock on perestroika. You couldn't turn back the clock on the collapse of the Berlin Wall.
That's true.
She should have seen basically what was coming in and then adjusted ourselves in line so that we, but I hope when they watch this program, they will be in a position to see that. Otherwise, thank you very much.
Before that,
yeah, we don't have time, yeah?
One minute.
Yeah.
Before that, Monica Juma,
yeah.
I have a great respect for her.
Yes.
She served our country.
Yes.
But she missed the point. When it came to regional issues, I think she performed below my expectation.
Very poorly indeed,
Yeah.
very poorly. She still wants to live the days of Meles Zenawi, and it's not possible.
That's
Meles Zenawi days are gone.
That's how things are.
Thank you very much, Dr. Abdiwahab. Ordinarily, I would have asked you to give your parting comments, but I'll still do that. Please take just a minute and give your address to Kenyans. Tell them what you think is in your mind. You should tell them.
Basically, I'm a patriotic Kenyan. I'll advise my country to review the Kenyan foreign policy towards the Horn of Africa. Horn of Africa now is changing drastically. I have a great respect to my sister, Monica Juma. She served our country well, but unfortunately, she's performing below my expectation.
Thank you.
Unfortunately, what we have seen, the Kenyan foreign policy towards Somalia is a disastrous. Unless we change our tactics, unless we engage Somalia constructively and positively, we are not going nowhere. We are stuck, and I don't want my country to left behind the fast-moving development in North Africa. And thank you so much.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much.